Hey everybody, this is Dark Side Elite here, and I want to do this video letting you guys know that I've watched all of the 5 parts of the Crisis on Infinite Earths, and I've read a lot of the no, I've seen some of the pictures that of Ezra Miller in the same vicinity as the Grant Gustin, like they were interacting with each other. And what does this mean? And now, because of the end of this, what does it truly now mean? Now, here's the thing. I think that a lot of you guys got to really realize this. What I think WB did is they allowed the TV side to do this as a way for them to cheaply bring together their streaming service and their TV sections, so they can say that they're all interconnected within the multiverse. Now, now, what does the DCEU have to say about this? What does that mean? Can they be able to bring them in? Now they can, because it's all part of the multiverse now. We don't know the changes that all now be affected, because the Arrowverse is now part of its own universe. It's out its own universe. It's its own Earth. And now they also did a huge section to show where the other universes are at. Now, now here's the thing, and I think that a lot of you are now going to start seeing it. The Stargirl season, the Stargirl, that is going to be its own universe, because they showed it. It says that Arrowverse is Earth Prime, and the Stargirl universe is going to be Earth 2. So that means, in all retrospect, everything that happened within the original multiverse all got consolidated into the Arrowverse. So that means that the Katie Cassidy's Black Siren, she's now part of the Arrowverse. She's on that universe now. Everything that happens from this point forward now is going to be we all knew from the first episode of Arrow all the way to season up until this last episode. I mean, the previous episode of Arrow, when the whole multiverse got destroyed, it all got consolidated. It got brought back, but then it got reconsolidated in its own universe, and then that spawned off into different multiverses. So that means that Stargirl is its own universe. It's going to be its own separate entity. It will not interact. In my honest opinion, it should not interact with the Arrowverse. It shouldn't. It should not be in its own universe. It should be Earth 2. And you saw Doctor Midnight, you saw Stargirl, you saw her father in the Robo suit, you saw all these other things, and that's where I feel that they're gonna bring in another speedster. They're gonna bring in another speedster, probably Wally West. That's probably where I think Wally West should go. My honest opinion, and they should bring in the Ginger Wally West. That they need a speedster. Um, we don't know about Jay Garrick. We don't know where he's at yet. So we don't know if he's going to be a part of this universe, and how his story is going to slowly start to end. We don't know. So that's what I think they did. That's what I think they did, because now they said that Earth 9, I think it is Earth 9, or yeah, Earth 9 is the streaming service. That's where the Titans universe is. Um, Earth 36 or something like that. There's one other Earth. That's where the Doom Patrol is. That's their universe. There's another universe where Swamp Thing is at. So I have a huge suspicion. This is my huge suspicion. I think that they're going to try to get Swamp Thing back. I think they're going to try to get Swamp Thing back. It's too big of a show. Everybody loves it. And I think that W is going to try to get that show back on the air again. But they have to figure out some new things and try to figure out where they're going to film it, and try to make sure that they get the money and everything back. That's what I think they're going to try to do. If they don't bring it back, then we know that Swamp Thing has its own universe. It's out there. It's out there. We don't know. Now, there are negatives to this. Does that mean that Lucifer's universe is in here? Maybe. But Lucifer show's ending. It's gonna have its serious finale pretty soon. So who the heck cares? It's moving on. There's a lot of things that they can do. Um, one scene, and I think it was Screen Rant, that said that, oh, now we know about Green Lantern. Green Lantern exists. No, you for in my last video I said, look at what the look of everything. That's the Ryan Reynolds version of Green Lantern. That's another universe. That's its own universe. They said Earth 96, and I believe, yeah, Earth 96, that's the Christopher Reeve Superman. Even though I think that's supposed to be Earth, yeah, Earth 96. It got brought back. So he got his own universe. It's back, and I have a huge suspicion that he got everything back because he was smiling, he was hopeful, it looked great, he was still Superman. That's why I think he got everything back, but he got his own universe. So the way they did this is everything that we know from what they did from the first episode of Arrow all the way to the last episode of Arrow, of the last episode of episode 4 of the Crisis on Infinite Earths, all of that had been consolidated onto Arrowverse into its own universe, and then it spawned into new universes. So certain things got brought back, and other things didn't. So they kept things in other universes. Um, Actually, I found a flaw in that. I'm sorry. So yeah, so that means that that a lot of things that we know got brought back, got consolidated into the Arrowverse, and other things got spawned into different universes. So that's why Brandon Routh's Christopher Reeve Superman, he's on his own universe. The Titans have their own universe, but now we have an understanding of where Stargirl is at. We have an understanding where the Doom Patrol is at. We have an understanding where quite possibly I think that the movie universe is going to be Earth 12. I think that's Earth 12. But we have to see if they're going to pursue this any further, and I think they should not do this anymore. They should just don't touch this. Leave it alone. Um and do no more explaining. Go, nope, we left it all out there. We left it everything on this in these episodes. You can take it for what it is. Leave it alone. The more they try to keep explaining it, the more holes we can poke into what they put onto the screen, and we should leave it alone. So and again, I'm trying my best not to really poke a lot of holes into it. So a lot of things that we know in the Arrowverse got consolidated on there. So there's things that we know from previous seasons and previous crossovers got pretty much consolidated, and other things that went off on its own universe. So I have a feeling that's what they did. That's what they did. That means now we have a Lex Luthor on this Earth that literally could do some damage. So I have a feeling that John Cryer is not going to be done playing Lex, and I have a huge suspicion that they're going to basically maneuver that over to the Flash, to Batwoman, and all this other stuff. So they got a Lex, and this Lex doesn't care. And this Lex will do everything he can to make sure that he can get a one-up on Supergirl and Superman, but keep his public persona that he's here to help people. And that's what I think they're going to do. That's what I think they're going to do, and that's not bad. That means now they have a center villain that they can literally go, they have in the back pocket, and they can use him on all the other shows if they wish. They could have Lex deal with Black Lightning. That'd be cool. That'd be real cool. The only thing I'm going to be wondering is, we now need to, again, it goes back to, we need to have news reports on things. We need to hear them talk about the occupation of Freeland. We need to have them talk about the blood work situation in Central City. We got to have them talk about the situation that's going on with Supergirl in National City. We got to have some information about Alice and what's going on in Gotham. There's a lot of things that needs to be news reports intermingling between the shows. I'm not saying it needs to be apparent, but I'm saying it needs to at least be discussed. So we know that this is interconnected, because the one thing that really angered a lot of fans is, and I mentioned this in my last video. In season 1 of Flash, there was a gigantic freaking wormhole. A gigantic wormhole. And nobody mentioned it in Arrow. They didn't want to mention it. They're like, nope, it's its own thing. We don't. You talking about there was no news report? Just a news report. Just say, hey, there was a freaking wormhole going on in Central City, and the blur defeated it, made it go away. How's that overtaking anything? How is that? It makes no sense. Now a lot of us are gonna say, why isn't this being talked about? Why isn't this being talked about? Now, now I know that a lot of the people that joined my that subscribed, they want to know more about the DCEU. They want to know about the Snyder Cut. This has relevance to the Snyder Cut. Now, I want to talk about the whole Ezra Miller and Grant Gustin interaction. This is pivotal. This is massively pivotal. And I hope that subjective reviews watches this. I hope that he goes and watch this episode, that episode of Arrow, and just and understand why they did this. I think that WB gave the okay for them to do this, to have Ezra Miller come on set, because he had to. He had to come on set. WB had to know he was going to go on set. They did this to showcase to everybody that this version of the Flash can interact with the TV universe if he wants to. They also are stating there, and I said this is a double-edged sword. That means it gives them tons of flexibility on changing people's sexes, changing people's races, changing people's concepts and designs. They could do whatever that they want, because Ezra Miller and Grant Gustin, they're both Barry Allen. Why are they different? They're both Barry Allen. Why are they different? That's the one thing. Now, John Wesley Shipp played as Henry Allen, but in his universe, his mother never married an Allen. His mother actually married a person named Garrick, and he stuck with his mother's main name. He went with Jay Garrick. That's in their TV show. That's not something I'm making up. That's in the TV show. He said it. He said that's the reason why he looks like his dad, because his parents, I believe he said his parents died. Both his parents died when he was a baby, and he went to he lived with his grandmother. And when he lived with his grandmother, he didn't take the name Allen. He took his mother's main name. His mother's main name was Garrick. But he's an Allen. His name's supposed to be Henry Allen, but he took the name Jay Garrick because his mother took the name Jay. He took the name of Jay. But he's an Allen. So now the thing is now we have Henry Allen, who's now supposed to be Barry Allen because he met the 90s Flash. He's from Earth 90. That looks like his dad. He looks like his dad. And you're like, what the F? So they're trying to showcase to you that the multiverse is fluid, the multiverse is always expanding, and the multiverse is always growing. So you could have a different face now. You can have a different sex. You can Barry Allen could be Barbara Allen for all we know, or Barbara Garrick. The Flash could be a woman. Black, Filipino, Asian, doesn't matter. They are the version they're supposed to be. And that's like I said, that's the double-edged sword. That's the double-edged sword we're getting. You have some people that are like, oh my God, now we're gonna get more pandering, versus other people are like, what's wrong with this? What's wrong with that? And I'm in the firm middle. I'm like, okay, if the character's never been seen before, give us the original concept of the character, the original look, the original design. Let us judge that, and then you can introduce another character. You can introduce the same character in a different design later on, but at least we get the originalness of the character, so we can judge it. Because most people, when they look at these characters, when they look at the character, and they decide, hey, you know what? I want to go know more about this character. They're getting told, like, hey, no, the original concept was a white person, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, huh? Really? They don't understand how comic books were back then. They think, most of the time people think it was racist back then. No, it wasn't. They were making comic books for white kids. It was more black kids who were starting to get those comic books because guess what? The families could afford the comic. Most black families couldn't afford a freaking a comic book. They couldn't. There was white kids who were getting comic books. Most black kids were reading off of white kids' as comic books back in those days. That's how the black people knew about Superman. Because white kids were getting this Superman comic book, and guess what? Black kids were reading off, looking over their shoulder and reading it too. Or they were reading it with them. Like, hey, I got this book. You want to read it with me? Sure. Cool. So, I mean, it has nothing to do with racism. They were just going, hey, the demographic is white people. They're able to afford. Make it for the white people. Make them white. It's fine. It was only an influx in the 70s and 80s during the blaxploitation that we finally were getting African American superheroes. And the success of Black Panther. Black Panther is the first black superhero. He was the first. Then you had Luke Cage and you had Storm. Storm was a little bit later. Then you had Black Lightning. Black Lightning was based off of Luke Cage. So again, they were just making the comic books because it wasn't to be diverse. It was more in the fact of, hey, you know what? Let's just start making some black superheroes. And then when the influx started to go away, that's when the new influx in the 90s with Static. Static was one of the first young black people to come out with a comic book in the 90s, and no one really was reading the comic books at the time. Blacks weren't really reading comic books at the time. We were all into hip hop. We were all into hip hop. We were running the streets and everything else. We weren't affording no comic book. What the heck we want a comic book for? That's why that was the mentality of some. Maybe a few more. It sucks. So they were making black superheroes, but then it died away. And now now a lot of us are in the position of saying, no, there were black superhero out there. They made a whole ton of comic books. I know them. But they're changing these characters for just because they want to pander. And all I'm asking is, hey, instead of making the character black, make the character original design and just as a black superhero. Because here's the thing. A lot of people are arguing with the fact is that they turned Johns into a black guy. I go, yeah, his original was a white guy. He was originally a white guy. He didn't turn him black until way later. Red Tornado's original name, his human name is John Smith. He couldn't think of a name. So he basically chose a John Doe type of name. It was the most plain name you ever get. John Smith. White guy. They changed him later into, he was a mix. Originally he was blonde hair, blue eyed. They turned him into a brunette with brown eyes. Or blue eyes. So it was like, I don't want to get into the race thing. I really don't. I don't want to get into it. I think that, again, back to accuracy versus the storytelling, the dawn of the source material. Go back to that video. I will link it down below. What I firmly believe. I'm on the fence about it. I'm willing to give it up for accuracy. I'm willing to go for storytelling as long as the accuracy's there. And I'm willing to give up the accuracy as long as the storytelling is really there. So, that's how I feel. I'm on both sides of the spectrum, and it keeps me safe, and it actually should keep everyone safe. It's like, instead of saying, hey, I just want the storytelling, I don't care about anything else. That means that they're gonna do whatever they want as long as the story is good. The character doesn't look anything like it's supposed to be. Hence why we got the Jared Leto Joker. They follow the story principle. He was originally a gangster, but they made him into what modern day everybody thinks a gangster is supposed to be. Tattooed out. You wear the most lavish of clothing, the most brightest of clothes, and you look like a pimp. That's a gangster. No. Joker is a traditional 1920s to 1940s gangster. He's not a modern gangster. He doesn't do stuff like that all the time. When his head cracks open and he starts to become more sadistic and more crazy, great. He'll do that stuff once in a while. But no, when he has all of his faculties and he's pinpointing on what he wants to do, he's that traditional Al Capone-like gangster. or Dillinger, stuff like that. So, um, but this is about the multiverse. I'm sorry, I didn't want to go on a tangent, but this is about the multiverse and about the DCEU, and I think that this is their way of saying, hey, we still know, and we're giving the TV show the luxury of admitting that that Zack Snyder's universe is part of this, and that they do love Ezra Miller's version of the Flash. And this is where I say right here, and this is where I think that this is where Ezra Miller was probably okay with. I think that he was happy as hell being on that set. I think that everybody was happy that he was on that set because they probably loved his version of the Flash. They probably do love it, and I think that Ezra was okay with it. He was like, "Hey, he's good to go. He's ready to do this." This is the center point. This is where I feel they want to do with Ezra Miller's Barry. I think that he doesn't know jack squat about the multiverse. When he gets his speed, of course, he's gonna know about the physics. He's gonna understand the quantum physics, but he's not gonna understand the temporal physics. Now, the quantum physics is his ability to be able to speed up his molecular structure, to be able to phase through things, how he's able to create the lightning bolt using his own internal energy to create the lightning bolt, and a lot of other quantum physics ability. Like he could actually run, grab the bullet out of midair, or he can move it and keep its trajectory going. He can apply a lot of theoretical physics to a lot of things because he's that fast. As long as it propels towards speed and mass, he can do it. He could do it. And also on top of that, we also got to realize that his punch, he can knock Superman for a loop with his punch. He just doesn't know how to do it. He can punch Superman almost right out of his shorts. If Superman's not ready for it. If Superman's ready for it, his head will move. And Barry's hand won't crack open like a walnut. His head won't crack open like glass, like shattered glass. He will, because the force is so strong, and he hits. And if you really think about it, the amount of force he's pushing into the punch, he won't physically connect. It's more the concussional force about to punch him that knocks him back. There's a lot of theories behind how they can easily make where Flash can punch very hard objects. A lot of things he can do. Um, um, but I do believe that this is their pivotal point to get the character into a position where he will start to understand and learn about the multiverse. And then when he starts to learn about the multiverse, then he'll understand temporal physics and understand that, the concept of time travel, and that's where his whole world's going to completely open up. But I think that that's what they want to do, because Ezra was talking about that in one of his interviews, that he wants to center on Barry and then open him up to the grandeur scope of his powers, and then start with the multiverse, and then build from the multiverse to build his own Flash universe, and then get him into temporal physics, which is going to be time travel and time paradoxes and such like that, and take his time doing it. I have a huge suspicion that Ezra really, in all excuse me, in all honesty, he wants to be this character for a very long time. He wants to build this universe relatively slow, and he wants to take his time doing it. And I think that that's the best way, of course, of action to do. I think they should take their time doing it. I think they should not rush job it. Get a really great director. Keep that director on as a producer with Zack Snyder, and have Ezra, because of the understanding of this character. He has a great understanding of this character that they could build a really strong universe. I'm not in the concept of saying that we should have the same thing all over again. What I'm saying is that we should have a different interpretation. Now, we should know that the Reverse Flash is behind all of this. We should have an understanding that everything that Barry is doing, it's all part of Eobard Thawne's plot, and then it all culminates to the final race, the race of his life storyline, where he has to race against time to stop Eobard Thawne. That'd be great. So we have to see how that unfolds. But but I think that Ezra Miller is a phenomenally great Flash. I think that he'll give us a lot of great stories to tell. But I think that they did this as a way of saying that WB, because again, WB has to write off on this. They have to be okay with them doing something like this. And if they're okay with Ezra Miller coming out there in that Justice League suit, then I have a huge suspicion they really want that cut out. They're doing this for us. They're doing this for the Snyder Cut fans because they want us. They want the regular audience to go, wait a minute, does that mean that? But underneath a lot of us, we have an understanding, a good understanding that if WB is saying that that cut doesn't exist, but they're allowing Ezra to walk out there with that suit on, then that means that they're okay with certain things. Underneath us, we all understand that they must be okay with this. So if they even allowed Ezra Miller to come out there in that suit when he could have been in street clothes and conversing with the Flash, and their interactivity was phenomenal. Hey, your suit looks really soft and plushy. Hey man, yours looks actually kind of cool and safe. It's like they were amazed at both their suits. But the difference between Barry's suit and Grant's suit and Ezra's suit is Ezra built his. Grant had somebody else build his. So I am in it with one thing. I will love the next season they bring in Ezra Miller's Flash. The next season, bring in Ezra Miller's Flash. Bring his version of the Flash in, have him interact, and showcase that he is brilliant. He's brilliant. And it kind of makes Grant Gustin's character feel like you built that thing? He goes, yeah, I built it. Yeah, I did this and 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 this. And you have Cisco sitting there going, like, oh my God, I can talk to this version of Barry. And you have Grant Gustin going, hey, whoa. You can have great things. You can have great interactivity that they all are like, dude, he did all this himself. This was all him. And the guy goes, not really. I kind of had help. He goes, you had help? Who helped you? Well, Bruce did. Bruce? Who the heck's Bruce? Bruce Wayne? Bruce Wayne helped you? Batman helped you? He goes, whoa, you know he's Batman? That'd be so cool to have them do that. I will love to see them do that. It will be phenomenal. And also, you catch this version of Barry where he has a better understanding of the multiverse because he's traveled it. So even if this comes out before the movie does, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This is a much further down the road version of Barry. So even if we catch him up and people are going, that I'm so freaking confused. Wait a minute. If they introduce him on that, what they've already said, this version of Barry is far in the future. He can literally say, oh yeah, I've been in the Flash for about 5-6 years there already. They're like, what? He goes, yeah, I've been in the Flash for 5-6 years. I fought this and 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 this. They're going, oh my God, like he's fought a lot of foes. So we're getting an understanding that dude, he's fought a lot of villains already, and he has a great understanding about his abilities. So in my honest opinion, it doesn't matter if they show him in the movie he's sitting there bumbling and fumbling over his powers, because we can all go, oh, this version is the rookie. The one we dealt with in the TV show is a much aged version of Barry. He has a lot more years of experience. So it won't confuse any of them. It shouldn't confuse any of them. Unless you completely are just turn your brain off. Because he literally says, I've been the Flash for about 7 years already. They're like, what? They're like, wait a minute, whoa. You've been about the Flash about as long as I have, and you built your own suit and everything. He goes, yeah, I got a little bit of help, but yeah. And you have some great stories, and I think that they should only have him on there for maybe 2 episodes, and then he's gone. He literally says that they literally make it where he says that he can't keep doing this all the time because he knows that this is going to interact with things he doesn't want to interact with. He thought it was just cool, and that he was interacting with some people, but he felt like, let's just get out of here, And that'd be great. Or 1 episode, that'd be great. That'd be great. I would love to see that. Would love to see that. That'd be great to see. So that's what I think they're doing. I think that it's a great thing for them to do. I think that WB is really hitting home that they really do want this cut out there. I believe also that they want us to keep fighting for this cut. They want to do it for Ezra. They want to do it for a lot of these actors and the people that worked very hard on it. They know that they screwed up, but by them allowing Ezra to walk out there with that suit on and interact with this multiverse, that's huge in my personal opinion. That's huge, huge, huge news. So we got to take that for what it is. But let's keep fighting for that cut. It's out there. They did the episode. It's actually a really great scene in the Arrow episode. It was the Arrow episode that they did that. And like I said, there was a lot of things they did really good in that Arrow episode. But man, that was one of the best ones. Um, and this is the multiverse now. This is the Arrowverse, and now we got a brand new multiverse that has nothing to that. They know about the multiverse, but no one else outside of the multiverse knows about the multiverse. They really don't. Maybe the chief does, maybe, but I kind of doubt it. Not many people outside the multiverse know about the multiverse. So we have to see how this is undone. I mean, I'm sorry, not undone, but let's see how this is all unfolds, and let's see how this all is done now, and move forward, because this is going to be one of the coolest things now for the Arrowverse to do, and they could build two different universes in the midst of all of this. So we got to see how the Titans move forward, because Titans is going to get a season 3, and we're going to see how everything unfolds. All right, guys, thank you for joining me. This is I thought I was gonna make this a little bit longer, but I didn't want to keep ranting and raving about certain things. If you guys have any questions, like, hey, could you talk about this or talk about that, put that down below. Put that down inside the comments. I will link my accuracy v storytelling, the Dawn of Source Material video. I'll link that down below so you guys get a great understanding about that, and where I firmly stand on when it comes to comic book accuracy or storytelling in the vein of the source material. Or should we have either or? Should we have the comic book accuracy, keep it comic book accurate, or should we have more storytelling storytelling versus the source material? So we have to see how that unfolds. Thank you for joining me. Like I said, like, comment, share, subscribe down below, hit the bell. This is my final video of the day. I want to more interact with everybody, and I want to play some video games. I haven't played a video game in a while now. But you guys have a great one. Have a great day. Bye.